just quickly, yes, I found it difficult to have this book, Quirkyalone, out there and have people Google me and then have all these assumptions about me. So, I think that I noticed there's something different about women authors and men authors who get famous about these topics too. Like, for example, I write about being single, and I've done it in a personal and sociological way and pop culture. And then a friend of mine who's a sociologist wrote about people living single, and it's much more objective, and it's not about him. Or even in this dynamic that we have right here, we've written about our lives, and you're writing in a more general way. So it's just something that women do. And there's a particular, and like, we have a need, I think, a lot of women writers to expose this stuff, and it is difficult to deal with the ramifications of strangers and people that we're getting to know. And then on the book that I'm writing now, I think there's a tremendous taboo just around not only women writing about sex, but women having sexual desire. Like, there is actually just, like, we have this idea in our culture that men like sex, and that women just do it to please their men. Or like that they'd rather be on Facebook, or, you know, stuff like that. So there's something that feels edgy, like really edgy, about being a woman and talking about enjoying sex.
I'm sorry, that idea went out about 1957, and sure, let me finish. There are backward ideas about everything. There are backward ideas about how Jews don't like sex. Philip Roth's been writing about that since before some of us were born, you know? There's certainly, you can find retro ideas about sexuality anywhere you look, but one of the ways that the culture has moved is that there is way more acceptance of female desire than there's ever been. And I think what's true is that some women are still fighting a battle that doesn't exist out in the real world nearly so much as it exists inside of them. That's not to say that there's no discrimination at all. That's not to say that there's no retro ideas out there at all. But the whole idea that that nobody accepts that women have sexual desire, fortunately, that's not the most predominant view out in the culture right now, fortunately.
I mean, it would be hard to, I'm not sure how you quantify this.
Well, you look at surveys for starters, you look at media productions, you look at all the pornography out in the world, most of which shows women having lots of sexual desire. You look at a lot of relationships where men are complaining that women have too much desire for them. So I think there's a lot of indicators. I think if you walked up to a guy, or you're heterosexual, right? Just want whoever you're dating. If you walked up to whoever you're dating and said, "I'm a woman, I have sexual desire," most people are not going to turn out and run away screaming. I wouldn't.
No, they'll be happy. I mean,
well, there you have it.
But I mean, yeah, I think you've done a more exhaustive look at the literature and the video, so I'm not going to debate you about that. But I do think that if you look at pornography, for example, most of the porn that is just out there is constructed from a male point of view, and that's
not true.
I disagree.
Excuse me, this is one thing I happen to know something about. And anybody who says that Cosmopolitan is all about the male point of view, who do you think runs Cosmopolitan? It's all women. So let's be very careful about what's a male point of view, what's a female point of view. There's all this lesbian pornography that's done by my friends who are all lesbians. So.
Yeah, of course there's a world of porn out there, and there's a ton of it, but I think most of what a 13-year-old, 15-year-old, 22-year-old average person sees is something that is sex that is not constructed for the pleasure of a woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You mean the depiction, or you mean the consumption?
Both.
Because it's true, more than half of all the people who look at porn are males. But if you look at most porn shows women with big smiles on their faces.
And it's fiction.
It's fiction?
Yeah.
Women enjoying sex is fiction?
No,
porn is fiction. Of course porn is fiction.
Right. I mean, they're not really coming, I think, basically. I mean, it's a performance.
Well, when people are in Star Wars, I mean, that's fiction too, right? So the fact that people don't climax during pornography...
climax or enjoy, really, like deeply enjoy.
They're actors and actresses. They're not there to enjoy it.
Women there come in and out is all interesting to
what is the effect? What is the effect? You know, how does it influence our society and stuff like that? And I don't even remember what the original question was here.
Well, it was sex. Writing about sex and relationships, how has it affected your own personal writing? So, but that's fine because